If you ever cross her again, know this: I will become the storm you thought you could walk through, and you will remember the day you made me choose fury over silence. Cross her once more, and I'll make sure regret finds you in every quiet hour, a constant reminder that you woke the wrong guardian. Hurt her again, and I'll rewrite your life's margins with consequences so loud they drown your excuses forever. One more step, and I'll turn your comfort into a court of memory where you stand stripped before everything you broke. If you cross her again, I won't whisper. I'll make consequences speak in the only language you understand: accountability. Try it again, and I'll teach you that some people are not to be tested, that some love carries a very dangerous armor. Cross her, and I'll become the unwavering echo of every broken promise you made, until that echo ruins the silence you used to own. Hurt her again, and I'll hand your conscience a mirror you'll be forced to stare into every morning for the rest of your days. One more mistake, and I'll make your peace fragile, your nights restless, and your name synonymous with what you did. Cross her again, and I'll make sure the safety you took for granted becomes the exact void you now call regret. If you ever cross her again, I won't just punish you. I'll remove the oxygen from your small, safe world until it collapses under truth. Try to hurt her once more, and I'll make your history a cautionary tale for anyone who ever thought you were harmless. Cross her, and I'll shut the door on your excuses, leaving nothing but the hollow sound of what you've lost. One more transgression, and I'll place the weight of consequence on your shoulders until you remember why you should have stopped. Hurt her again, and I'll teach you the anatomy of regret: slow, precise, and impossible to ignore. If you cross her again, I'll transform every memory you cherish into evidence that you chose to break what you should have held. Try it again, and I'll make your world smaller: fewer smiles, fewer friends, and a permanent ache you brought upon yourself. Cross her, and I'll make accountability a living thing in your life: relentless, inescapable, and fair in its fury. Hurt her again, and I'll make your name a footnote in the story of someone brave enough to protect what you tried to ruin. One more time, and I'll ensure you learn that some lines are drawn in iron, not sand, and you cross the wrong one. If you ever cross her again, I will not be gentle. I will be the consequence you refused to imagine, and the lesson you will never forget. Try again, and I'll make your nights long and your defenses short, living proof that your choices carved the life you now fear. Cross her, and I'll teach you that violating trust summons a debt, and some debts are paid in the currency of change. Hurt her again, and I'll turn your bravado into an admission: you were warned, and you chose otherwise. One more mistake, and I'll make sure every door you thought closed opens to the memory of what you did. Cross her again, and I'll make regret your closest companion, whispering truth into the spaces where lies once lived. If you hurt her again, I'll be the final answer to your reckless question. What happens next? And it won't be kind. Try it once more, and I'll make sure your story has a chapter you'd rather burn because you wrote it with cruelty. Cross her, and I'll convert your silence into confession, your arrogance into apology, or worse, the knowledge that you cannot undo. Hurt her again, and I'll show you the price of testing love's limits, solitude wrapped in the echo of your choices. One more transgression, and I'll make your future a book with a single headline: You were warned. Cross her again, and I'll be the force that rearranges everything you thought untouchable until you learn respect the hard way. If you ever cross her again, I'll make conviction live inside you like an ache, persistent, honest, and deserved. Try again, and I'll ensure every plan you had for comfort gets rewritten into a lesson about why certain people protect what matters. Cross her, and I'll turn your memories into evidence that you gambled with someone's heart and lost irrevocably. Hurt her again, and I'll be the reckoning that clears the fog of your denial, leaving only the clear light of consequence. One more time, and I'll give your conscience no rest, so that every sunrise reminds you of the choice you made. Cross her again, and I'll make your reputations crumble quietly, a slow dismantling of the facade you hide behind. If you hurt her again, I'll make sure the lesson is principled, not personal, precise enough to correct, stern enough to stick. Try again, and I'll be the uninvited truth in your life, that breaking someone brings a cost that isn't negotiable. Cross her, and I'll turn what you thought that was harmless into a permanent scar on the map of your life. Hurt her again, and I'll teach you that some people carry a fierce tenderness. Protect them, and you protect a force you cannot control. One more transgression, and I'll make your choices echo where your pride once lived, loud and unavoidable. Cross her again, and I'll make consequences the compass you lost, pointing you always back to the moment you should have stopped. If you ever cross her again, I'll not only punish, I'll educate you with the clarity of someone who refuses to watch harm repeat. Try it once more, and I'll ensure your apologies sound hollow, because this time your actions will speak louder than your words. Cross her, and I'll convert your careless confidence into the careful understanding you lacked before you struck. Hurt her again, and I'll make your sense of safety fragile. Fragile enough that you learn humility as survival. One more mistake, and I'll make sure your shadow bears the stain of what you did, visible to anyone who sees you. Cross her again, and I'll make the world hold you accountable, not out of malice, but because protection demands refusal to look away. If you ever cross her again, I'll teach you that consequences exist to protect what faith and love built, and you have no right to break them. Try again, and I'll make your life a ledger of choices, each one marked with the cost you were warned about. Cross her, and I'll make your defenses collapse in the face of truth until you can either change or be defined by what you did. Hurt her again, and I'll ensure your solace is gone, replaced by the lasting reminder that you were reckless with someone's heart. One more transgression, and I'll make your hands tremble when you reach for comfort, because you chose to take what wasn't yours. Cross her again, and I'll be the consequence that teaches you dignity by taking away the easy lies you relied on. If you ever cross her again, I will stand between you and the life you took for granted until you learn to regret properly. Try again, and I'll make your life lean toward the lesson you refused to learn. Respect or lose the right to trust. Cross her, and I'll make the map of your future trace back to this moment, so you never forget the pain of what you caused. Hurt her again, and I'll not be the monster you feared, nor the martyr you expected. I'll simply be the necessary consequence that makes you better or breaks you. Cross her again, and I'll make sure every comfort you enjoyed becomes a reminder of the moment you chose recklessness over respect. Hurt her again, and I'll teach you that some hearts are guarded by a force you cannot bargain with or escape. If you ever cross her again, I'll make your life a quiet echo of your mistakes, subtle, relentless, and unforgettable. Try it once more, and I'll turn the world you rely on into a mirror reflecting every misstep you ignored. Cross her again, and I'll make your pride crumble slowly, exposing every flaw you thought invisible. Hurt her again, and I'll teach you that protection is not passive. It is a force that reshapes everything in its path. One more transgression, and I'll make sure the peace you took for granted becomes the silence you now fear. Cross her again, and I'll be the shadow that haunts your plans until you understand the weight of what you risked. If you hurt her again, I'll make regret a permanent resident in your life, visiting every room you thought safe. Try again, and I'll transform your arrogance into the lesson you refused to take seriously before, painful, precise, and unforgettable. Cross her, and I'll make every choice you made against her echo back louder than any defense you've built. Hurt her again, and I'll turn your mistakes into a story everyone remembers, one you'll live with daily. One more mistake, and I'll make the cost of crossing her impossible to ignore, a shadow on every step you take. Cross her again, and I'll show you that some love is a fortress, and you just dared to storm the walls. If you ever cross her again, I'll not be silent. I'll make consequences an unmissable language that teaches what words cannot. Try it once more, and I'll turn every moment of comfort into a reminder that you trespassed where you were warned not to. Cross her, and I'll make your every plan wobble, because crossing her awakens forces you were never ready to face. Hurt her again, and I'll ensure that the life you thought was predictable becomes unpredictable, shaped by the consequences you invited. One more transgression, and I'll make sure your conscience wakes before every sunrise, whispering the truth you tried to ignore. Cross her again, and I'll teach you that some boundaries are carved in iron, and some mistakes are remembered forever.